the players that I see a lot now are so predictable. They're going to try to do that spin and run, but then if you have any defender that's got a brain and can think the game, they're like, okay, I know what this player is going to do every single time. And then once you take that away, that player's got that attacking player's got nothing else, and they're frustrated, and their head goes down, and they got no bite because they got no other options. Chuck, when you think about our strikers,
yeah,
I mean the ones that I played with, I had Brian McBride. We'll use him as an example, former co-host of the show, McBrizzle. Hope you're doing well. And his hold-up play was tremendous, right? And that allowed us.
You could say world class in the air. No, without a doubt, McBride was world class in the air, and arguably world class with hold-up play.
Okay,
and I don't think anyone would ever say, well. So we're talking about two, in Brian McBride's case, we're talking about two exceptional qualities that no one else in the pool had on top of that.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the pool that has like those types of qualities in those two areas? Because Ajimang, he's got the size.
We don't.
Right. And so that gives me a concern because it gives you a different dynamic. If you know that in any situation, I always knew in the back, like if I was under a little bit of pressure and I could play kind of similar to what you were saying before, Tones, this really resonated with me about Matt Turner. I could play the third split ball that maybe is a bit riskier, but I want to prove that I can play it. Or I could just play the simple one out wide. Or if I'm in a ton of pressure, I always had an option. I could always play a little teardrop to Brian McBride, and the guy would hold it up, and we would somehow figure out a way to then establish our attack or our transition from there. And I just don't know if we have that as an outlet, and that gives me some concern. We could throw Brandon Vasquez into the conversation. I don't know how consistent he is at hold-up play. He's a big, strong guy, but can he do it consistently? Can he hold back in and hold up center backs and allow? I just don't think we see it. And then I don't think we have a out-and-out header where you just throw a cross in and you know this guy's going to get on the end of it. And that
we don't even have Eddie Johnson. So I know that's another striker you played with. So
yes.
Think about the different profiles we had as strikers. And I go back to 2009, right? So I'm a striker and Josie's a striker. Brian Ching was in the squad. And I think of, wow, we complemented each other well. So if you wanted to play with a single striker, but back then it wasn't often. A lot of teams played with two. But me and Josie complement each other well because he was phenomenal at hold-up play. We made runs that complemented each other well, and I could run off of him. We don't even have one that's exceptional with hold-up play, and we don't have one that's exceptional with movement off the ball or one-on-one ability. Chuck, we don't have that.
So, Chuck, I think we're agreeing, right? We don't have a header like Brian McBride, right? We just don't have one of those guys. So the other quality you're talking about is hold-up play. Who is our best hold-up play guy?
Ricardo Pepi.
I would have said the same thing. Ricardo Pepi. Yeah, and he doesn't offer that in the air. And then who's after him? Is it Balogun? Is he a hold-up guy?
No,
he's more running off your shoulders.
Balogun is not a back to goal kind of striker. That's just not his game. What he's very good at, and I think what it's clear to see for most people, is technical ability. His technique is phenomenal. You could probably say up there with among the best forwards the USMNT national team has ever had in terms of just technical ability. What he does really well is he makes good runs, well-timed runs. He finds space, and he's a good finisher. So he doesn't have the aerial ability. He doesn't have the strength. He doesn't have the hold-up play. But if you asked him to be complemented with somebody else, that's why he's played on the wing at times. In a 4-3-3, he's played as a winger who can kind of come in, or a withdrawn striker. But he's not your typical, I'm going to hold up the ball and bring other players into the final third.
Do you think hold-up play is a lost art, Chuck? I even when I'm when I'm in the midst of it, coaching youth soccer right now, I don't see a lot of players that are good at owning the space before the ball gets to them. One player that I thought was tremendous was El Pescadito, Carlos Ruiz. I always had trouble with him. Guatemalan international, LA Galaxy, ton of success. Speaking of FC Dallas as well, right? But
he got his body on you, right, Jimmy?
Yeah,
he got his body on you. Yeah.
Yeah,
The mind games were world class.
Yeah, world class mind game.
You, and then you come and he flops. You know, he was
traditionally center backs. You love playing center back because you're the one that initiates the contact, and you're kind of controlling the physical part of the game, and that allows you to kind of own the space, or you can give him a little bump as the ball comes to him. Carlos Ruiz was unreal, world class at I'm going to hit you first. I'm going to establish the space, and now I'm going to control kind of the 5 yards in front of me, and you're not going to be able to see the ball. The guy was a master at it. Other players that I played against that were good. Cuauhtemoc Blanco was awesome at it too. Guillermo Barros Schelotto, like the little tiny cutest button playmakers.
I'll tell you, these guys were Romario, Sergio Aguero,
amazing.
We're talking about guys who had an ability to hold you off. They could turn you, and then because they got into the center backs' heads, knowing that these guys are strong as hell. If I go up, I'm going to get turned.
Yeah,
that's when they could just let the ball run by them, and they're running at you full speed. We're talking about threats, right? Real threats in different ways. Look at Erling Haaland for a perfect example. The guy can hold up the ball, but he's not asked to hold up the ball. He's just asked to get in the box. He barely touches the ball throughout 90 minutes. You're saying, what the hell? But he'll score 5 goals because he just gets on the end of crosses. So 100%, Jimmy, with the it's like a lost art.
But you're talking about Romario. Like, this is like a different level.
No, world class.
How frustrating, Jimmy, when the forward's a little guy like that, smaller guy, but stockier and big at the waist, like strong at the waist, and then he's soul rolling the ball on you as you're trying to battle him. He's got the ball in the bottom of his soul, and you're like, he's gonna spin me, man. Oh, I played against him 3 or 4 times, and I can remember defenders talking about it, going, yeah, don't let him spin you. And here he is, just kind of holding you off. He's got his leg out, and he's got the ball in his soul, and you're like, please, someone come and help me, man. Help me.
Yeah, they're not troubled. They're so comfortable with the physical side of the game and with contact. And Chuck, you bring it up. I'm gonna say it in a different way, just to make sure we hammer it home, especially for any coaches out there that are kind of helping blood the next generation to be top players. What's important about the hold-up play, to your point, Chuck, to as well as you, Tones, when you can get it into a spot and you're holding the player off and you're just doing soul rolls and you kind of got a big smile on your face, it just allows you to now do whatever you want. Like the next time, you can now drop your shoulder, let it run through your legs, and try to spin me and go. Like, you've created the opportunity for that to happen. The players that I see a lot now are so predictable. They're going to try to do that spin and run. But then if you have any defender that's got a brain and can think the game, they're like, okay, I know what this player is going to do every single time. And then once you take that away, that player's got that attacking player's got nothing else. And they're frustrated and their head goes down and they got no bite because they got no other options. They have to have the hold up play is so.
Oh, Carlos Tevez is a great one. Carlos Tevez was
another. That's a good one. Yeah, I'm sure everybody has plenty of examples. I don't see that. I don't see that in our player pool. And so that gives me a little bit of concern right now with the 5 names that you mentioned, because Ricardo Pepi, arguably the best. But I don't see it consistently where we can actually be like, hey, we're going to dump it to this guy and we're going to make runs with real purpose. Sometimes, when you play and there's a guy that can do it every once in a while, if you're out on the wing, you're like, I could run it with everything I got, but he doesn't always hold up the ball, and I don't want to get caught defensively going the other way. So I'm not going to run with 100% purpose. But when you're around somebody that can hold up the ball, you're running your ass off to get into good spots because you know the ball's going to get there.
So Chuck,
fine margin.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to look at it, Jim. Chuck, here's my question then. We're talking about the things we don't have, right? We don't have a guy. So let's just take 2 of them, Balogun and Pepi, right? Because I think they're probably the consensus of the 2 guys in 2026 if we had to bet, right? Assuming Pepi comes back. What do you need to see more from them? What do you need to see more of from each of those guys? Because we can't take what they don't have and use it. We got to take what they have and use it.
So I think let's start with Balogun. So 1, he's got to stay healthy, right? I never had a shoulder injury, so I don't know, what that looks like. Is he prone to re-injury if he falls on it? But I think what we can say is Balogun is an elite finisher. So can he continue to just put himself in good positions? So if we're watching him play, how many times is he getting the ball on the half turn? How many times is he running at guys? How many times is he getting the ball in the attacking third? How many shots is he generating? I don't think he's the most gifted playmaker, like opening space for other people, like playing them through. But in terms of getting on that ball and then firing a shot off quick, I think he has a quick release. That's where we want to see him heading into the World Cup. Can he develop a little bit more of a hold-up play, like being stronger? Because I know as much as you guys have said, holding up the ball and turning and taking your time, it's also hold up the ball, take a foul.
Yeah,
and let the team let the guys breathe, move up the field. I loved, that's one thing I loved, because you talked about Carlos Ruiz, we talked about Romario. I loved watching them play because of, and Carlos Tevez, how good they were at drawing fouls at the right time, knowing that, okay, I could turn and run and try and make something happen, but I know right now my team needs me to take a foul. I'm going to take a foul, get this guy irritated, but also allow my team to breathe.
Listen, the hold-up play, Chuck, that's key, right? You can draw fouls in dangerous areas on the field. It allows your team to transition in meaningful ways and have guys run with some real purpose. And then on an individual basis, it allows you to kind of set up and play mind games with the center backs, whoever you're going up against. Like, hey, I can hold it up, but also you might think I'm holding it up this time. I'm actually going to roll you and let it run between my legs and see what happens. I mean, there's just so much value to that, and I feel like we're missing that consistently in our player pool. With Ricardo Pepi out, that's going to be a bit of an issue. Oh, look at you. You got to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. So if you want more average to good content, then you know where to go find it. Go peruse our channel, then hit like, then hit subscribe, and of course, turn on your notifications so that you never miss a show. We'll see you next time.